Hi, I'm Dennis Gage. Thanks for tuning into My Classic Car. I'm a certified car nut. Well, this week we're in the hills above Temecula, California at Chuck DeHarris's place, which he refers to as Horsepower Farm. And if you could see what's in some of these buildings back here, I think you'd understand why. But today we're going to focus on a couple of his old school hot rods, because I just think they're really cool. And if you take a close look at them, I think you'll agree. Well, Chuck, this is a beauty. Now, you know, everybody loves the 32. You see an awful lot of coupes, see a lot of roadsters. You don't see a lot of people who've done the four-doors.
No, not too often. It was a little risky when we did it.
Yeah.
Everybody thought you were nuts, you know. Who's going to like that thing, you know? So,
and then you went, and I'm going to paint it brown.
yeah.
Everybody
They
went,
really
"What?"
thought you were nuts, you know.
So what's the story on this? This is another one of these cars of yours that's got a lot of the big names of old in the hot rod community that worked on this, right?
Well, we all grew up together, you know,
Yeah.
so it's we see each other all the time, so it's kind of fun to work together. It become a work of art, you know. Some of these guys now are kind of semi-retired and don't want to do a lot. But we started with a body, took it to the Kennedy brothers, and they chopped it 3.5 inches. And their dad did all the wood grading, Bob Kennedy. And I had a chassis at the time, a Pete Eastwood chassis, been sitting around for a long time.
And I like the nose art too.
I had little Louie do that. I said, I've always liked that Lady Luck from the 50s. So I said, can you modernize it a little bit? So this is what his version. He says, go away and come back in a few days. And this is what we came up with.
Actually, when you're working with these guys that have been in the biz forever, do you get a lot of that? Go away.
Oh yeah.
Come back and don't bother me. Let me do what I do.
Yeah.
Well, I do love the interior though. I mean, I love the fact that you went pretty much 32.
Well, that's what Henry Ford did in 32, and we got the old. You take those old springs and rebag them, and they're just magnificent. You know, the seats were part of the suspension back in 32. So
it's probably true.
Oh yeah, so it all kind of worked together. So then the dash I pulled out of Eastwood's trash can. It was out of a car he was working on, and it had 49 Mercury gauges. And in the old days, before guys could afford Stuart Warner, they were taking these gauges and redoing it, so it added a little bit of flavor to the car.
Yeah. Well, I love the shift handle, the shift knob.
So Bob Bowder made all that, and the tack bracket, how it suspends up and all the holes.
And man, there's a lot of room in here. This thing's got to be a blast to.
Oh yeah. I'm tall, and I can just kick that seat back and go. You know, and it'll run all day.
And you went with the big littles in your tire choices. Like
bias tires, because it kind of fits the period. You
Yeah.
know, radials would kind of be out of place. A little more to handle, but you know, it's worth the sacrifice.
Well, again, if you want the feel of like 50s hot rod, you gotta have the bias tires. So you say it's a Corvette engine?
It's a 1960 Corvette motor, 283 fuel injected.
I mean, it looks like it just came right out of the Corvette. I mean, you didn't do any.
No, we left all the spark plug wire shields. You know, they were on the Corvette because of the interference from the radio. The fiberglass body didn't have any shielding, so we left all that stuff original. Got all the right nuts and bolts that were correct for the car, and didn't chrome anything. Just put together the way the factory did it.
And this is the shielding that
the spark plug shielding to keep the static from the radio on the Corvettes.
Wow.
And it covers the whole distributor. You can see it going up and over. So much of this stuff was thrown away over the years, and guys were hot rodding their Corvettes. And
Yeah, let's get rid of that crap.
So now it's expensive and hard to find.
Man, I love the look though. I mean, it's great all around. The colors and just the way the whole thing came together.
Well, it's a hot rod. It's the definition of a hot rod, pretty much. You know, without getting carried away. It's not $1 million car.
No, you know, that's the other nice thing about this car. I mean, you've really kind of made this this is a fun car.
Yeah, and there's no radio, there's no air conditioning, and the motor sounds good. You just get in and drive it. You know.
you pretty much drive all your cars.
I drive all the cars. Yeah.
Well,
you can't drive them.
What's the point?
Why have it? You know.
Well, can we take it out?
We're going to take it out. Let's go.
Can I drive it?
You drive it.
I'm driving, man. Welcome back to My Classic Car. And this is one that you've taken some fairly substantial trips in?
Yeah, we've been up to the Bay Area, 400 or 500 miles.
It rides really nice. And you're right, the springs are part of the suspension because, The rest of it's got a little stiff, you know? But the seats are great. Did anybody, you know, when you said you're going to paint it brown, did anybody go, Chuck, I'm not so...
Yeah, everybody wants the bright colors. And a nice car can be very sedate. You don't need colors to bring out the car.
Yeah, to a certain extent, I think this shows the lines of the car better. And when you do take this out, do people seem to dig it? I mean,
It does seem to get a lot of attention. And when people come up to the house, they start looking at all the cars. I'd say 75% of them go to this. I don't know if it's just homely looking or you know why it has appeal.
Well, it stands out. It does. It's just not like a lot of other cars.
Yeah, it's a relatively inexpensive car to build, and it didn't take a lot of time. And beat it up and touch up the paint and go again.
So you've been a car guy, a hot rodder all your life?
Pretty much. You know, you take a few years off because of work and family and stuff.
Kids,
but
yeah.
still always got one or two cars floating around. Southern California, we weren't all more Eastern guys were sports car oriented, I think. You know, we were more hot rod oriented around here, so we kind of grew up with that and just kind of stayed with you. And over the years, you develop all these fantasy ideas about how you can dream and build these cars in your mind. You know, I'm just lucky that I got an opportunity to do it.
Welcome back to My Classic Car. Well, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But now here's a bit of a different theme.
It is.
An extended cab pickup.
An extended cab, not chopped.
Really. And this was you were telling me this is one of the first ones that were really done this way. And another one with...
This is probably the first extended cab that we did. We started about 14 years ago.
Wow. And where was it built?
It was built at a series of shops. Most of it came out of SoCal Speed Shop before it was SoCal Speed Shop.
Oh, really?
And then finished it at SoCal under the name SoCal. But Steve Davis did the body work. We got an extra set of doors to extend it, sliced the doors down the center, welded them together. We had to extend them up because the top angle's up.
Yeah,
so,
it's a reverse
yeah,
chop,
so
right?
we put about 10 inches in it so I can get my big body in there, my long legs, and we can go cruising.
Now, but she's an all-steel vehicle.
Everything's steel on it. The body's original, but everything else, radiator shell, but everything else pretty much reproduction.
27, 28, 20?
It's 28, 27, 28, we're pretty much the same.
Well, now, I mean, the running boards are pretty complex. You got the
Well, they cut
tread.
a zigzag in between there and then ground that all smooth and painted it.
So you had a separate set of them, and you
we
grafted
had
them
two
in.
sets of everything on this thing, it seemed like.
And they ground down all those welds?
Oh, yeah, painstakingly.
Oh, man. I mean, that's like perfect. Love the interior, though. And who did the interior?
Tony Nancy did the interior. You
That's
know,
another big name.
Yeah, pretty famous drag racer and probably one of the best interior. He was such a fanatic when he did Pebble Beach cars, he'd count the stitches so that they were all the same. I mean, we didn't get to go that extreme here, but so he took him some seats out of a swap meet and he said, leave me alone, come back in a couple of weeks, and he did the interior.
But your dash.
Well, the dash is really unique, yeah. Anyway, we were looking at the gauges, and Pete Eastwood says, hey, I got an idea. Come back tomorrow or the next day, and I got something. So he whittled this out of a piece of aluminum, this bezel that goes all around, hand-filed it and machined it out. And then Pete did this sunburst design, had it etched in.
Yeah, those rays. I mean, how'd they do that? That's just stunning.
Yeah, just the etching. And then we took the gauges and wanted something different on it, so we had a basket weave design. A guy in St. Louis designed it, and a different size weave for each of the three sizes of the gauges.
And that's a really big center speedometer.
The speedometer's off a CHP car. It's one that they used to use to clock people. They'd mount it on the steering column like a tack, and then they'd clock you, hit the button, and say, hey, you're going 95. And Doug Carr did all this woodwork. We said, let's get something, because normally they have three pieces of wood going across. So let's make it look like a woody. So we did the whole thing in bird's eye maple and mahogany on the back, wrapping around. We put a magazine stand there so you can put your Look magazine or Life magazine
I love that. On each side, you got the magazine stand. And was this original bed or?
This is a reproduction bed, but it's original, a copy.
All steel.
Yeah, Doug Carr again did all the woodwork, and his woodwork is phenomenal, and the bird's eye maple and stuff.
That is a cool look from the back too.
Well, it's the old Southern California scavenger pipes out the back with a Hildebrand quick change and a Model A spring.
So that looked like a Nailhead engine up there.
It's a
Buick?
57 Buick Nailhead engine.
Those are such distinctive engines anyway. Nothing looks like a Nailhead.
No, no, no. And these old straps are old Model A racer stuff that they use, so we didn't have to have anything fancy to hold it down.
You know, that's kind of nice too. Just, you know, it's
Yeah, Jake did that. I said, how are we going to hold the hood up? And he says, hey, come back tomorrow. I'll do something.
Man, and the 3 deuce. Oh, that's just
3 deuce.
great.
Yeah, just brings it right back.
All polished aluminum. You know, and this is such a distinctive looking engine with the Nailhead. You know, the valve cover standing straight up. But that's kind of the theme of this car.
Oh, yeah. Even the valve covers are the story. I wanted these Moon valve covers.
Yeah.
Well, Moon had just gone through a transition. They had been closed, and then they bought it out. And I went down there and I said, hey, I need some valve covers. And he said, well, I think we got all the castings, so I'll make you a set.
Seriously,
Yeah.
really? Wow.
So now it's back in their product line.
Well, can we take this one out too?
We're going to take it out.
Let's do it.
Close this up.
Strap her together.
Strap her together, and
Those are cool straps, and they work.
Yeah, why get something fancy, you know, build something with springs and latches when we got leather and springs?
It works.
It works.
Welcome back to My Classic Car. Little hot rod pickup's a fun thing to have, though. You know, it's just that much different.
Uh-huh. Well, it's not a long distance car. More of the 4-door, you could go a lot further in, more comfortable. The quick change howling and the scavenger pipes down there echoing back in here.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit noisier.
Oh yeah, just a little. These cars, you got to realize, will probably never go over 70 miles an hour in them. You know, they'll probably have 10,000 miles in their lifetime, maybe. So you don't have to build an all-out race motor.
In fact, under that scenario, you don't want an all-out race motor.
No. I want them to drive. I want them mild. I want a mild cam. I want to be able just to go, not worry about it.
So much work went into this, the extension of this truck. It's just amazing.
Well, you couldn't do it today. You couldn't get the people together, but the quality and the thing that went in, it'd be almost impossible to try and duplicate it today. But the rates from when we did this to what they are now, they're almost double. So.
How tough is it to bring all of these guys together on a project like this?
Well, they're not all working in the same building, so you're transporting back and forth. They all communicate pretty well, so it's just correlation. You got to be the contractor. And the fun thing is when you can get these people together and they get excited about your project. It's just not a job. No, you know, I want to be involved in it. I want to work on that. I really like what you're doing.
Oh man, what a day for hot rodding in the SoCal Hills. Chuck's got some awesome hot rods, and I'm definitely coming back to check out a few more of them.